Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello there, and welcome to the program, the last of this shortened work week for us. But we'll try to pack as much as we can into it. City Paper's Best Of has just come out, and I was perusing it before we began the program, and I don't know. Who the hell are our readers is what I want to know. Who are these people? They say the best Pittsburgh poet is Billy Nardozzi. Actually, I guess he transitioned, so it is Rachel Nardozzi. I don't know, but Billy Nardozzi was and has been, although I haven't seen him as much lately, a regular on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's celebrations page, where people pay to post their weddings and their 50th anniversaries and stuff like that. And there was always Billy and his mullet and the latest poem he'd written. And I used to make fun of his poems. Because, let's just say that, Wordsworth and Coleridge aren't like sweating in their graves, that Billy might somehow supersede them in poetry history. But Billy undid me one day when I opened up the Post-Gazette, and there he was again in the celebrations, and that picture. And this time, the poem was about me. Oh, dear. And it was so sweet. And after I've been trashing him for like decades, it was such a sweet poem. And I thought, this is just a brilliant tactic. He shut me up. He finally shut me up and embarrassed me. Made me look like a horrible person. So, anyway, so he's been voted the best poet. Well, what the hell? I say, yeah, I give it to him. But, there are a lot of, like, serious poets toiling, unrecognized in Pittsburgh. And, I just don't know. People who vote in this, I don't think they get out enough. I'm sorry, because what was it? It wasn't that many years ago that I swear Best Italian Restaurant, Olive Garden, came in number one. I swear. I don't think I'm misremembering that. And the minute I saw that was when I said, well, it's anyone can vote. You just, I guess this is one of those things where you could stuff the ballot box. But, yeah, I was looking through here, and I don't know. I don't know half of what's even in here. I don't even understand half the categories. Best gluten-free bakery. And here again, this is not unlike Olive Garden to me. That they're saying the best Mexican restaurant is Mad Mex. I got to tell you, no, it isn't. That's Americans' idea of what a Mexican restaurant is. It is not the best Mexican restaurant. The best Mexican restaurant actually is right across the street from where I sit. It's a little dive called Bea's Tacos. And it's the real deal. All right. Well, this is all opinion. That's all it is. That's all it is. But yeah, Billy got a whole special section here, and he's seen pensively playing his guitar, and still got the hairdo, but it doesn't say Billy Nardozzi. It says Rachel. So I know all of a sudden Billy Rachel started looking like he started wearing earrings, and then, the picture started changing a little bit. Great local character in a time when local characters are just not what they used to be. Part of what gives a city some flavor. People who march to a different drummer. They're fearless people who are themselves, and suffer, the slings and arrows of people like Lynn Cullen yapping about him on her show, and then turn around and take Cullen down like that with the sweetest little piece of doggerel about me. I mean, so sweet. If I were to think of a word that characterizes Nardozzi's poetry, it's sweet. It's sweet. All right. Well, so there were these elections last night. Mixed reviews. The most stunning result to me was the referendum in Missouri, which is as red a state as it can be. And the citizens there overturned via referendum the state's right to work law, which is, of course, the state's kill the unions law. And I'm just stunned that those conservative voters did that. There's a lot of hand-wringing going on among people who natter about such stuff, about the fact that the unemployment rate is so low, and the jobs numbers are really looking good, and there's employers are looking for workers, and blah blah blah. And then somewhere in all the euphoria, the people who yap about this stuff all of a sudden say, but we do have to admit that wage growth is lagging. Oh, big shock. So the economy's going gangbusters. The folks who own everything are making money hand over fist, and the people who do the work are getting crumbs still. I think of like preschoolers being taught about sharing, toddlers being taught about you have to share. And it's hard for them because I guess by nature we really just want to get as much stuff as we can, right? But some people by nature, you can see in little kids, some people by nature are. They don't have to be told. They're just kinder. But the way capitalism works, and I mean, you'd be crazy if you didn't know this, because if you're alive and functioning, you see how it works. You see how it works on paper. Everybody's supposed to, if lifting all the boats, that kind of stuff. If we're making money, if everything's good, then of course the workers will get paid more. Everybody's going to. And the workers ain't getting shit. Excuse my French. And everybody's wondering why. I mean, I've seen these discussions where people say, why, really, nobody? It's a puzzle. Nobody can quite figure out why. And I'm thinking, what do you mean nobody can figure out why, you idiots? It's simple. It's greed. Hello? It's greed. It's failure to share the gains of the workers' labor. The guys in suits are pocketing it all. And they always would have. The only way they started begrudgingly giving the people who produce the products and services that make them wealthy, the only way they ever started to give people their due was when labor unions were organized. Because they wouldn't do it unless there was a gun to their heads. And so workers, this is this, great period of time where workers were finally see that if they get themselves together, they can produce a powerful force that the capitalists have to reckon with, and they'll be able to get things that they think are reasonable, like overtime pay. There's no capitalist ever decide, hey, I have a good idea. If somebody's working over 8 hours, let's give them half again as much for their hard work. Oh, yeah, right. No, that was an idea that came from labor unions, and then people fought to get it. 40 hours a week. I think that's sufficient, don't you? Yeah. Well, that's not the way it was until labor unions. Paid vacation, anything that all these anti-union types take for granted were gotten because of unions. And all of a sudden, workers in this stagnation of decades, and people, can't really figure it out. I mean, by all indicators, we should be, the workers should be in the driver's seat right now with all these jobs out there and employers looking for workers, having to compete for workers. Well, you would think that, no. So 26 states in this country now have right-to-work laws, which pretty much kills unions. It kills them. I mean, here again, the right wing is so incredible at branding things. The legislation that kills workers' power is called right-to-work law. Yeah, okay, you got the right to work, and you got the right to starve with whatever we decide to give you for it. So anyway, just wanted to say that was the best thing. I'm disappointed, of course, that it appears the Republicans have eked out a win in Ohio 12th congressional district, which takes in part of Columbus, but mostly rural areas around it. The Republicans got, a few thousand vote lead, or close to a 2,000 vote lead. Odds are that'll stand, I would think. Still, the pundits are telling us there's no way this should have been close, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, right, but, I'd rather win. There's another interesting race there over in Kansas, a Republican primary for the governorship. And the guy who is now in the lead by 500 votes is just a despicable human being. Chris Kobach, he's the wonderful guy that Trump appointed to head the Voter Fraud Commission, which wasted umpteen millions of dollars trying to find the supposed 3 million people who Trump said voted illegally for Hillary Clinton, thus denying him what, of course, had been his victory, although the only reason is because these 3 million votes she had, they came from fraudulence. That committee was forced to essentially disband. It fell apart of its own, ludicrousness, since there was no voter fraud and nothing to. But Kobach he was all in. My understanding is that the Democrats want Kobach to win this primary because they see him as one of the Republicans they'd love to run a Democrat against and take that gubernatorial seat in Kansas, which is, as again we have noted, red. So, I don't know. We'll see. All this stuff's going to happen. Meanwhile, it would be so stunning if the Democrats do not take back the House of Representatives that it would be akin to waking up and finding Donald Trump had won the election. And I don't know that I could survive that. But Frank Bruni is out today saying, hey, guys, Democrats, woo! Why aren't we daring to hope that we could take the Senate as well? Well, I mean, we all know why we're not daring to hope that. I mean, it would be unbelievable since I know we only have to pick up 2 seats. That's it, 2 seats. But here's the problem. Ten of the Democratic senators who are running for re-election are in states that voted for Donald Trump. 10. And it is generally thought that some of them are not going to be able to retain their seats. So it looks like Democrats will be losing some seats that they had prior to the Trump takeover of the Republican Party. So of those 10 that are in these red states, they actually have to win. Maybe 2 of them at most could lose, and we could still take the Senate. But that's, I mean, so you have to have minimally 8 Democratic incumbents in red states win in November. People are saying that's a real heavy lift. Well, we can pretty much suppose that one of them that will prevail is right here in Pennsylvania, and that would be our Senator Bob Casey. Everybody says he's doing very well, running against Lou Barletta, a Trumpian and an anti-immigrant fervent. I don't even know if that's a word. I mean, a noun. But generally, Pennsylvania, the Democrats supposed to hang in a red state. Michigan, which turned red, the Democrat there, is that Debbie Stabenow? She should prevail. Wisconsin, I don't know. I'm hearing very different things about this. That is the seat held by, I think, the only openly gay senator. Is that true? Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin. She's up for re-election. And Bruni seems to think she's pretty safe. I don't know about that. I mean, I get stuff from Wisconsin people who are, and people who are running. And, well, granted, they always make it seem very dire unless you give them money. But I don't know. I'm worried about that one. And then there's next door in Ohio, and that would be Sherrod Brown, I believe, is up, right? So who the hell knows? I don't know. But then you got Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota. I mean, some of these states are redder than others. And you got, what's his name in Montana, Tester. These are very vulnerable people, although Heidi Heitkamp and John Tester are very much liked in these states of theirs. And these states were good and red even before they voted these 2 Democrats in. So who knows? And then there's, McCaskill in Missouri. But look at that Missouri right-to-work vote. Who knows? Could be. And then there's Manchin in West Virginia. Who knows? Could be. But all of these people who I'm thinking about here have the potential of holding on. We could lose, as I said, 1, maybe 2, and still take the Senate. So why do we think we can't? Granted, the numbers show it would be really something, but it's doable. It is not out of the realm of possibility. It is not out of the realm of possibility that even in Texas, Ted Cruz could go down. Really? Because there is a very charismatic, well-funded Democrat running against him, Beto O'Rourke. Probably seen him around. He could do it. So, just saying, and Bruni points it out. The odds aren't great, he says, but they keep looking a little bit better. And I just think, we gotta go. Can you imagine? I'll tell you, if we took the Senate and the House, my God, we could really do a job. For one thing, if we chose to, I would imagine we could impeach and convict Donald Trump and remove him from office. And I add, if we want to, because that would then give us a President Pence who is as creepy a person as ever would have held the office, perhaps. Just makes my blood run cold. But anyway, so we need 2 seats. Nevada is looking maybe possible, although, that's having to knock off a Republican incumbent in a red state. But there's a woman running there, and she's looking pretty good. And the same for Arizona, where, remember, Jeff Flake finked out and refused to run. There are these openings. I'm just saying. I'd be saying that with more certainty if, in fact, the Ohio race had gone in a different direction, apparently. We have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Do you ever listen? Maybe you never do. You've heard of Richard Wolff?
Rick Wilson?
Richard Wolff.
Oh, Richard
Yeah,
Wolff.
the economist.
No, Richard Wolff? No.
He's a socialist economist.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
But he says, and I've heard this. This is not the first time I've heard this. He says those numbers are phony. Those unemployment numbers. The way they do it, they call, and if you say you're working, they don't say. They put it down as there's a new job, and it's basically just a phony process they do. And if they don't know if it's part-time, full-time, or for that day, he said it's not a very reliable system.
Well, I have argued, too, that the jobs, it doesn't, the jobs that we're creating.
He says it's about 15%, and probably for blacks, 20%. So I wondered that, too, about that number.
Okay, I don't pretend to know how these numbers get crunched.
Anyway, he says every time the Republicans or Democrats get in, he says, well, the Republicans, okay, tax cuts for the rich, that's going to create jobs. It doesn't work. Then the Democrats get back in, and they decide something, and it really doesn't create good-paying jobs. He said the problem is it's the capitalist system, which we talked about before, that doesn't work. It's every 4 to 7 years, he said, there's a recession. He said because of the capitalist system. And he's not saying go completely socialist, but he's saying, he talks about co-ops where workers they own the businesses. They can give themselves, not corporations giving you raises, but people that actually work in the plants and different things. He has a lot of good ideas, but we're sold on this capitalism, which does not work, and it's been proven many times. And that's the biggest problem.
Well, the thing about capitalism is it works for some folks very, very well.
Right.
And that seems to have been enough, and they've sold everybody else on the fact that they can get into the winning side. Just work hard, keep your nose to the grindstone, and man, I don't know. It's a talk about a rigged system. It's pretty rigged, and it's right now pretty unfettered capitalism, the worst kind, because when Republicans come in, they do not want any regulation. So there you go. But I hear you, and thank you very much. Yeah, what?
You were talking about one other thing. That CEO from, I don't know what company it was, that is going to retire, and that's all nice. She's going to spend time with her mother. And you said they wrote a strong work ethic, works 20 hours a day. Well, let me tell you something. I worked on the barges, and nobody can work possibly 20 hours a day for any length of time. It's not physically or mentally possible. So that is a line of bullshit that I've been hearing for years. If you're sitting on your ass, they consider being in meetings, having dinner with clients, working. Putting in time and actually working are two different things, whether you're a secretary or a worker, whatever it is. That bullshit line, I'm so sick of hearing that strong work ethic. It's bullshit.
Well, apparently you do not.
And other people.
All right, okay. You do not have enough respect for white-collar work, apparently. Sitting around at a desk thinking.
Because I'm saying anybody, even John, but to sit there and say you could work 20 hours a day.
Well, I agree. 20 hours a day, 7 days a week is bullshit.
Somewhere you're doing something.
Right, I agree. Well, you could be snorting coke.
So I don't. That's why. And then what these people that sit on their asses, now a lot of them, some of them do work. They expect the people that actually do the work to work like them, and not pay them. So that's where I lose respect for those bastards all the way around.
Okay, you. Why don't you get an opinion someday? Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, dang it. A thought occurred to me while he was doing his thing, and now it disappeared. What was he talking about? I can't think. Damn it. Anyway. Already did that. I swear I had... Damn! It'll come back. I got to get to the point where if a thought comes in, just write it down immediately. Write it down, Cullen, because otherwise it just goes and disappears. Oh, it's right on the... It's just teasing me right now. It's just flitting around, going into curves and fissures in my gray matter and peeking out saying, ha! And then back under. And I've just got... It's driving me crazy. Shit. Okay, whatever. I don't understand. I don't understand people a lot, what motivates them. I try so hard. People are fascinating, maddening, incredible, terrifying. Pick your adjective. They'll all work. But, you read about what people do and what excites them and what incites them and what gets them out of their chairs and saying, you know what, I'm going to do that. And some of what animates people just makes me scratch my head. I came upon two of these examples in the last few days, and so I'm just going to throw this just little thought out. It's not a big thought. But why do people decide to do something like, well, I'll take this one guy. This guy, 22 years old. His name is Ed. Ed, at the age of 22, decided that he was going to ride his unicycle around the world. Now, I mean, if you have a unicycle and you like riding it, that'd be one thing. Even that would set you apart, because not a lot of people have unicycles. And they're very hard to learn how to do. I have had friends who are very athletic people who have struggled. Apparently it's just there's one aha moment where you get it, and then you're off and rolling. So this 22-year-old kid in the south of England says, I think I'm just gonna roll right out of down the driveway here, and I'm going to turn east, and I'm I'm going across the world. They never mention in these little articles how you unicycle across the Pacific Ocean. But I mean, there must be, you have to obviously, you don't. But, so this kid did it. He's 25 years old now. But took him 3 years. 21,000 miles on a unicycle. And he didn't have support. It's not like he had, he had a good woman following him in a van with so he could get a good night's sleep when he chose to and with all the provisions he needed. No, he went totally by himself, carrying everything he needed in a backpack on his back. And it was, he made money for charity. He made $400,000 for some charity that puts school supplies, gets school supplies for children, poor children around the world. Well, he did a hell of a good thing here, but my God, I just don't understand the moment. Not the moment when you get the idea. I think I'll drive a unicycle around them, but the moment you actually do it. And then I'm the type, I was the kid in the back seat, 10 minutes into the trip. Aren't we there yet? I would constantly be calculating, like, all right, only 21,572 miles to go, and then I wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Of course, I don't even think this guy had beds. Jeez. And let's not even think about the danger he might have. There was a horrific story I read in some newspaper today about two lovely young people who quit their jobs and decided to pretty much, I think they were just hiking all around the world, and they were on day 300 something or other, and they'd had amazing experiences. And I don't know, they're in one of those stan countries like Turkestan or Kazakhstan, I don't know what, and some guys affiliated with ISIS just rode them down in a truck, just flattened them on the street and put it in reverse and flattened them a little more. Okay, then the third one. Okay, the unicycle, I understand more than I understand this one. There are people in this country who have been trying to break this record. There's only about 24 people in the world who have managed to do this thing, and people keep trying. Thousands fail constantly. And here's the thing. And I myself would not spend 1 second trying to figure out how to win this, but people do. It is to, in one day, ride all 49 rides in the Walt Disney World Hollywood Studios park. Oh, that sounds easy, huh? It ain't. It's almost impossible. Because most people fail miserably. And people actually, there's this article here in the Wall Street Journal about how people map out every step they'll take, where you start, where you go from this one to that one, the best times to hit this thing. You run from thing to thing. And why would you do that? I'm just asking. Because almost invariably you are going to fail. So I guess you do it because you think you're going to be the one who's going to. But, that kind of energy and focus and single-mindedness towards something that is so stupid, I'm thinking, hey, take all that energy and that all the work you're putting into it, physical, mental, psychological, and do something like a little more, I don't know. That's what I don't get. I just don't get that. Something that's worth more than bragging rights. Like, Ed. Ed in the unicycle. He at least, he raised $400,000 that would help poor children around the globe. That's good. That is really good. Roger writes, I've been in construction for over 30 years. Based on your last caller's assertion, I sit on my ass all day. I spend a lot of time with pipe fitters and foremen when they come to the office, because he's in construction on the design and project management end. When they come in the office to review projects, after about 30 minutes, they usually comment on how they'd go crazy if they had to spend so much time in an office. Crazy. The price I pay to sit on my ass creates a market for therapists. Yeah, it definitely does. So the ACLU is suing Jeff Sessions. I don't know if you saw that, heard that. The ACLU is yesterday announced that they're suing the Department of Justice and specifically the Attorney General because he has made changes to the asylum rules in the country, which pretty much makes it absolutely impossible for anybody to rise to Jeff Sessions' level of needing asylum. And this, you'll recall, Jeff Sessions is the guy who quite happily talked about, you come here to our country, we're going to take your children. I mean, so this is a guy who's willing he has no heart, no ear for suffering, for people who are suffering, and suffering in a way, by the way, that international law says that they have a right to run for their lives and the right to be taken in. That's what asylum is. And since he sent out this memo to the people who are the first people who do the initial interview. Somebody makes it in here and they say, I'm here because people trying to kill me. I'm running with my child for our lives. And Sessions' memo went to the people that do that first interview. And he flat out said to them that all of the policies that had been in place that defined what a credible fear of harm is, tossed all that out, so that these poor people who are running from the very gang that, the same kind of gang that Trump is always talking about, this, MP13 or whatever the hell it is, these gangs in El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, who terrorize cities, villages, towns, populations, and they kill. You either do what they're telling you to do, or they kill you, or maybe they kill your kid, because that works too. And who the hell wouldn't grab anything you could, grab your children, and run like hell? And once those poor souls get to us, we say, no, we're sending you right back. And you hear over and over again that they say, you're sending me to my death. Despite international laws that guarantee the right of persecuted people to seek sanctuary in other countries, your United States of America under Trump And Jeff Sessions has decided to, adjust the definition of who qualifies for asylum. And they have decided that anyone fleeing gang brutality, gang violence, horrific domestic abuse doesn't fit the bill. So the ACLU is looking at it and talking to the people who try to help these people, and they're saying we have never seen such a high level of denials. It's just getting flat out impossible for anybody to be given the green light. So yesterday, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a lawsuit in federal court challenging these new policies that Sessions put in place because it says it violates so many laws and effectively closes, just slams the door to any asylum seeker and for people desperate to get away from the brutality of the gang violence in parts of Central America especially. Okay, have you joined the ACLU yet? Because I'm telling people, if you think you're on, you're doing what you can. I keep saying we all got to do more than we've ever done. One of the easy things you can do is go to the ACLU website and sign up as a member. It's cheap. They don't ask a lot. I can't even remember what it is. It could be as cheap as $10. Become a card-carrying member. And even more so, become active with it. The ACLU functions mostly on volunteer power and on getting money. And the money goes so we can hire more and more and more and more attorneys, investigators, so that we can continue to bring this lawless Trump administration to court. And the ACLU has won so many suits since Trump got into office. They have been there from day one. They're not a deep-pocketed organization. They survive on our contributions. Contribute. This is the front line of the resistance. You don't get more front line. And that brings me to the obituary of the day, which is a sad one. I never heard of this woman, Amy Messelson. She's 46 years old. She took her own life. This was a woman of extraordinary intelligence and heart, quite clearly. The intelligence is clear just from, her schooling, how she got a master's degree from Harvard in philosophy. And then she went over to Yale and got a law degree. And then instead of making a lot of money, she just jumped right in to work as a public defender. Not making money. She wanted always to help people who had nothing. And often by nothing, no hope. In the obituary, they describe what she did for one teenage African immigrant, a guy named Amadou Lee. Amadou Lee was brought to this country by his mother from Senegal in West Africa. And 4 years later, his mother disappeared, abandoned him. And so here's a kid, and whatever visa he had, it ran out. He was an illegal alien, although after DACA, the dreamer, he's clearly a dreamer, brought by his family, his mother. But he was a kid without a country. He pretty much had grown up here. He had been abandoned by his mom in 2001 when he was a child. It's not clear from this obit who took him in. But in 2006, he was part of a robot building high school team competition. And his school, East Harlem High, staged a mind-blowing upset victory in the competition held in New York. And they were then allowed to go on to the national competition, which was in Atlanta. He couldn't go because he couldn't get on a plane, because he couldn't get past the TSA. And so one thing led to another, and the next thing, he is facing deportation. Again, back to a country he doesn't even know. And he threw himself on the mercy of, these do-gooder attorneys and found himself in the hands of Amy Messelson. And she saved him. I won't go into the whole story, but she saved him. And this kid is now, he graduated from college. And he lives now in California. He's pursuing an acting career. He's moved on with his life. And he's not deported. The woman who saved him, Amy Messelson, struggled with anxiety and depression all of her life. And despite that, this suffering with constant anxiety and depression, she traveled to Greece 2 years ago. You remember the stories about all those poor, mostly Africans and Middle East Asians risking their lives to get to Greece. And they were being all held in these horrible camps. This anxious, depressed woman says, I got to go help them, and goes over to Greece and lives among the Syrian refugees in a camp. And when she returned, her friend said she was not in a good place. If you are filled with as much empathy as a woman like this has, and you see that level of suffering, and you are driven to help, and yet you cannot do enough, and then you come back to Trump's America, the despair. So even though, as a judge she had argued cases before, even though she was able to make it possible for other people in despair to have that despair transformed into hope, like Amadou Lee, she couldn't do it for herself. And so she committed suicide. That's what Mr. Rogers would call a helper. That's one of the helpers who just couldn't anymore. Amy Messelson. We have a caller? Caller, hello?
Hi, Lynn. First of all, on that obituary, it's hard being a sensitive person. It's really hard in these times, when you feel the pain, and how sad that it was just too much for her. That there we lost lost a vital part of people that do the good work, that aren't the haters.
No.
That I call what I call the haters. And then I wanted to say, while I was calling in, and I'm writing down because I will forget it instantly as well, what I wanted to say. First of all, if you ever question your efforts, I have to say, 10 o'clock in the morning, I usually am scrambling to tune in to you. You just have, you have a gift, a service for so many people like myself. I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure there's a lot of other people too that, you just click with us. You just hit the nail on the head, and I thank you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Lynn, the other thing is yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you touched on, and again, my failing memory, the Constitutional Conference.
Yeah.
And are you kidding me? And the thing of all the things that I just took my breath away, is the fact the information highway, and here goes the importance and the value of our free press.
Yeah.
Is, oh man, we have to defend that, because look at this. I had not heard of it. People that I had talked to yesterday had never heard of it. So I think when you get back, we might have to focus on this, because, hello, there's Lynn Cullen in Little Pittsburgh is the only way I heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
it was new to me too that the Koch brothers and their legions have been working very hard to sign up enough states to call for a constitutional convention, which has never happened.
There again is the value of you, and I think that when you get back from your mom's birthday, may I please suggest that we beat this? We got a hottie. Wow, because to me, that is so shocking that we need to. I think that would be a big motivator for us lazy, loving liberals, us included, sort of.
Yeah.
But,
well, it showed. I was just trying to show, while we elect Barack Obama twice, and we think that's it, we did it, aren't we wonderful? And no, and the Republicans just keep doggedly working on very unsexy things, just all of which one-on-one little victories only they really care about end up with Brett Kavanaugh tipping the Supreme Court probably in the next few months. And look what they got. Look what they've got. They'll own the entire government. And
they have it, and it's heartbreaking. There's another thing I wanted to share with you, because I also have the failing memory. And what I've found works for my brain is when I lose a thought, or even if I'm trying to remember what I said or something that happened a day or two ago, for some reason in my brain, if I can follow back in my mind the visual of it, like where I was standing when I said that in this discussion or making my point or whatever, if I can go to the physical visual in my mind, like the visual of physically where I was standing, or like if you lose it in the midstream of a thought, if you can almost follow your thought, your eye patterns of what you were looking at, the garbage can.
Well, look, I'm glad it works for you, but I can tell right now it ain't going to work for me. And anyway, whatever that was, it is so far gone now that, if it's something I absolutely want to share, it'll pop back in someday and I'll share it. Mary, I got to jump off because it is Mary, right?
Yes, it is. Hey, babe, one more thing. I stumbled on, I just sent it to you.
I saw it. I do see it. I see it, and I am aware of this. I do know this story.
You know these people?
Yes. I don't know these people. I know.
Women our age.
I know of them.
I can't quit looking at them.
People ending up living in RV. Yeah. I do know. I saw
In
something
cars.
once. I know.
But this is a group, but when you look at them, they're thriving. They have adapted, and this is just one of the sites that I sent you where it's a networking, and it's one man. And from what I just saw with his story is he goes through a bad divorce, loses his job or something like that, ends up living out of a van, and he starts a network sort of where he's networking and they help people, and the stories blow your mind.
Well, he just sits down and talks to them. That's right. It's people in dire straits helping each other. It's very moving. And it shouldn't have to be. Got to run because I have another caller waiting.
Sure,
thank you, Mary.
I love you, Lynn. Have a good visit with your mom
and thank
family.
you. Thank you for your kind words. Bye. Okay, caller. Hello.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Good morning, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, Lynn. How about a little bit of sunshine this morning?
Oh, I'd love it. What do you got?
Okay. I don't know if you talked about this at all. Medical marijuana is in Pittsburgh. Have you discussed it at all?
No, but I know it's here.
It's great.
What?
It's great for it's fine. Yeah, I'm a patient.
Oh, so you're one of the happy few.
Oh, exactly. That's why I said. I mean, I have the condition to get this card, but I say I don't wish the condition on people. But to the same degree, this is like the greatest thing. It's like I won a lottery ticket, a gold ticket. Because if you enjoy it, I mean, I'm not going to
But so how do you wait?
Maybe.
So are you? I mean, I know it comes in many, many different forms. I mean, are you actually given
flour now? They just had flour last week. They have everything now. You can get flour, everything, the tinctures, the oils.
Tinctures, oils, an actual pot, like you can smoke it.
Yes.
I was in.
Partake of it this morning. Oh, yes, good.
I was in California, and they have recreational marijuana.
Right.
Which is a step up. And I went to one of those places, and it was just mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. I loved it.
It's great. I mean, I've been smoking for about 40 years, but it's because what you're going to get is pure. It's all grown in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. For
Pennsylvania people. All top quality because it's all scientifically proven. It's coming. It's going to come.
And where do you? So was your actual regular ordinary doctor the one who prescribed it, or did you have to go? Okay,
no.
So
all you have to do is you have to. The way the program works is because I was wondering. It just hit me one day. What do I need to get this card?
Yeah. What do you need?
You have to have one of the 20 conditions. Like you have to have cancer. I have cancer. I had cancer in the past. That's one of the conditions that permits you to. Now, so what you have to do, you have to go to like an intermediary facility, and all you have to do is have a diagnosis from your doctor that you have cancer. So I just had to bring a diagnosis in. Yes, Mike was treated for cancer. I bring it down into a place in Pittsburgh called Compassion, or I can't remember now.
Okay.
Compassion, but they're some middle people. They check it and say yes, Mike is. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, I should say this. You have to go to the state and say, I'm going to apply for a medical marijuana card to the state. And the state says, why are you applying this? Well, you have cancer. Okay. Well, we want to make sure you're telling us the truth. You bring your diagnosis to one of the facilities that are intermediaries that we will allow you to. So I get down to Pittsburgh. You give them $200. They verify that that's correct. They send the information off to the state and says, yes, Mike is a cancer patient. Send him his card. Then they say, well, first send us $50. You send the state $50.
Well, that's enough. You're out $250 now. Okay, I'm just adding it up. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's it then. Now you're in the program. Now you're in the door. The first place that I went to is over in Squirrel Hill.
I know where it is. It's sort of like under the Parkway. Right?
Yeah, it's under the bridge, like sort of.
Right.
And,
right.
It's nice. I mean, at first they had
nice.
oils and tinctures, and I'm not familiar with that.
Mm-hmm.
But the tinctures and oils are nice. I mean, it's a nice. I like it. I think it helps people. Like I said, I'm not going to. People can. I don't want to argue and debate the benefits of recreational marijuana, but I think it helps people. But I don't recommend it for everybody because certain people, it's not for them.
Well, no, that's
Same
true.
Like alcohol. I mean,
is one of the is one of the conditions unbearable Trump-related stress?
Yes, That's the number.
No,
22
it is
that's coming
not.
up, and that's number 22. It's number no, but they don't have it yet on the list. But no, I'm joking with you. But I wish, it's nice. So now there's a place down in the Strip District.
Yep.
But yeah, they said at first you had tinctures and oils, like I said, that you had to vape those products. Actually, the way the law is supposed to be written right now, you're not allowed to smoke the marijuana from the flowers. You're supposed to vape it. In our Pennsylvania rules.
You know,
but,
Pennsylvania.
again,
you know, they always complicate
to have a
everything.
Yeah,
Give
they
me
have
a
to make
break.
It like,
yeah.
A
Okay.
stupid plant, they're making that into a complication.
Yeah. Well,
you
they.
can't smoke in a joint. But I mean, who's gonna?
Ugh. What? Not because that looks like, you know, bad stuff. I don't know. This makes me crazy.
I don't know.
But I got to tell you.
I guess so. But
thank you, because I'm out of time. I want to thank you for at least letting us end on a high note.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much.
And
we
last but not least, the money coming in is great. I think the place has been busy. They're overwhelmed. So what's happening, and I got to go on a more positive note, I'm sure people are watching this, okay, the money coming in, okay, the money pouring into the facilities.
Yeah.
The state legislators looking at that and saying,
right.
Hey, guys.
It's coming.
What's happening?
Right, exactly.
It's coming.
It's coming.
And there's already Watley been saying, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Enjoy.
Bye now.
Have a toke on me. So, wow. Anxiety. If they would, anxiety, that needs to be on there because there's nothing better than pot. Just terminal kind of nausea about Trump. I got that too. All of that pot helps. I am not kidding you. So anyway, guys, I want to thank the last caller for, it was getting a little heavy. So thank you very much. And I'll see you again on Monday, but I'm off to celebrate my mom's birthday, as you know. 96 and going strong. Well, what a lucky old lady I am to still have my mommy around. Guys, love you, and see you Monday. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.